So the problem of multipolarity is of severity and not of existence. That part I think is clear. If you want to add anything, then you can bring in some derivations, not now, not at this stage. Maybe after a week's discussion or so, you will see that there are some mathematical formulations. That formulation you can add and you can show that how multipolarity can affect the regression results and how multipolarity is inherent in a multiple regression model. So when I say it is inherently present in a multiple regression model, then it is obvious that existence is not an issue. But then as the degree of multipolarity, as it increases, you will see how the regression results should be affected. So when we go for discussions on multiple regression model and the issue of multipolarity, there will be some mathematical derivations. Subsequently, you can bring in those derivations into this discussion. The next part is basically the goodness of fit of a bivariate regression model will not differ depending on whether we include or exclude the intercept. Definitely the goodness of fit of a bivariate regression model will differ depending on whether we are including or excluding the intercept, because the OLS estimator of the regression coefficient will change when we drop the intercept. Like say here, we added the intercept and this was the expression for R square, basically ESS by TSS. Then for a bivariate model with intercept, ESS is equal to beta hat square into summation of small xi square and TSS is equal to summation of small yi square. And the beta hat formula, it is basically summation of small xi yi divided by summation of small xi square. So beta hat square means this is whole square, then this part. And when we drop the intercept, it basically comes like this. Theta hat is equal to summation of capital Xi into capital Yi divided by summation of capital Xi square. What we discussed in one of the classes that the OLS estimators are not corrected for the respective mean. Right? So here R square value would be computed in this fashion. Theta square into summation of capital Xi square divided by summation of capital Yi square, and then it will have an expression like this. And I'll just quickly show you here I have estimated both the models. These are basically the regression results with intercept. What already you have done. Can you see the Excel file? Is the Excel file? Yeah. So this is basically the set of regression results when we add the intercept. And here we have the regression results when we drop the intercept. Now let me just put these two sets of results side by side. You can see the R square value. See here the model without intercept, here the results with intercept, and you can see the results are different. The R square value differs between the two models. And I have also shown here, you can see how R square value is computed for a model without intercept. Okay, here it is computed. So theta basically N48 by O48. If you just go to N48, this is the summation. It is summation of capital Xi into capital Yi. And here in column O, it is basically summation of capital Xi square. And here it is basically summation of capital Yi square. For none of these summations, we have taken deviation from the respective mean. All variables are in capital form in the sense that it is capital Xi into capital Yi, it is capital Xi square, and it is also capital Yi square. We didn't take any deviation from the respective arithmetic mean. Now theta is computed as N48 by O48. That means basically we have used the formula summation of capital Xi into capital Yi divided by summation of capital Xi square. And you see it is basically 0.321777108. And if you see this sheet, you get the same result here. And you see the slope coefficient here and the slope coefficient here, they are different. To get these results, basically what you need to do, you need to go to data analysis, okay, and then here there is an option constant is 0. You need to basically click on this. Then the model would be estimated without intercept, and you will get the regression results like this. And the R square value would be different. You can very well see. Of course, regression coefficient will also be different. So R square value differs depending on whether we add intercept into the model or not. And that is another point that we had discussed in the class when we were talking about presence of intercept into a regression model. Now my question is, why not to use this formula? Because if I write ESS, it is basically summation of y hat I minus y hat bar whole square. Then I can put it like this, and I can have an expression like this for the numerator. And for the denominator, I can take deviation. I understand that for theta hat, the OLS estimator would be this. But why not to write expression for R square in this fashion? And this answer I am basically leaving for you to think of, and we can have discussion on this in tomorrow's class. Why I am using the formula for RSS, this one, and not this one? Just think of it. But one thing is clear, that the R square value would be different depending on whether we drop or we include intercept in the model. That is question number one. That is very clear that the R square value would be different. But my next question in this connection would be, why not to compute R square in this fashion? Why are we computing R square value in this fashion? And I would like to have an answer from you all in the class tomorrow. Just think of it. Then the other question was basically this one, question number 2. Consider the 3 uncorrelated variables.
Sir?
Yes.
I had a question regarding that last one. So in this case, y hat bar and y bar, will they be same?
You have got the clue. Yes, they will not be the same.
Yes, sir, like that was my confusion while solving this question. So I was not able to derive this ESS and TSS.
You are absolutely right. Y hat bar and Y bar will not be the same. Can you tell me why? They are not
Yes,
necessarily
sir,
the same.
because U bar
I will
is
not
not
say they will
0.
not be the same. I will say they may not be the same.
We don't have the first normal equation.
Right. So summation of U hat I is not necessarily equal to 0. That means U hat bar is not equal to 0. If you just get back to the initial derivations, I think I should change the presentation mode to screen mode. If you just go back to the initial derivation, yeah, here. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Because we don't have the first normal equation, we are not in, I mean, because we don't have intercept, we are not in a position to partially differentiate summation of U hat I square with respect to alpha hat. So this summation of U hat I is not necessarily equal to 0. We don't know. And if this is not equal to 0, then obviously Y bar is not equal to Y hat bar. Because this comes from here only. If yi is equal to y hat I plus u hat I, then I can take summation on both the sides and then I can divide by n, and then I basically get y bar is equal to y hat bar because summation of u hat I is equal to 0. But if I don't have first normal equation, I'm not sure about this, so I'm not sure about this property. So you have got it correctly. But again, we need to have a very clear answer about why we can't compute R square value by using this formula. And that part you think of and the answer, and then we can have the discussion in tomorrow's class. But one thing is I'll upload the Excel file also. You can see, or you can also try on your own. Run a model with intercept, another model without intercept, and then compare the two sets of results. And if you want to do it manually, here I have just got capital Xi, capital Yi, then capital Xi square, capital Yi square, then I have summed, and then I have got all these. The way we did in earlier classes, particularly for the model that has intercept. And here I have done it for model without intercept. I'll upload it. You can see and then try to answer this question. Why not? Why not to compute R square value in this fashion? Okay. Next is basically consider the three uncorrelated variables x1, x2, x3, with each having the same standard deviation, say sigma. Find out the correlation coefficient between Z1 and Z2, where Z1 is equal to x1 plus x2 and Z2 is equal to x2 plus x3. Can you tell me what would be the answer? What would be the correlation coefficient between Z1 and Z2?
Half, sir.
Half. Very good. And what would be the regression coefficient?
So beta is half.
Beta is also half. Can you just tell me the logic? I mean, I don't want to get into the mathematical derivation for beta hat. Can we just get the value of beta hat half by using some logical intuition?
Sir, because x2 is common and which is about half of like both. Like
Can you recall we had derived the relationship between correlation coefficient and regression coefficient? What did we derive? When we talked about the relationship between correlation coefficient and regression coefficient?
Sir, I think they are the same.
No. Regression coefficient is equal to, suppose you are regressing y on x. Y is the dependent variable, x is the independent variable. Then the regression coefficient beta hat would be equal to the correlation coefficient multiplied by sigma y divided by sigma x, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now in this case, what is happening?
Sigma y and sigma x are same.
So it would be cancelled out. So regression coefficient and correlation coefficient would be the same, isn't it? So the difference between the correlation coefficient mathematically, the difference lies in terms of sigma y and sigma x. The difference lies in terms of sigma y and sigma x. Here sigma y is equal to sigma x. So the correlation coefficient and the regression coefficient would be the same. And as you rightly pointed out, both would be half. And I have added the derivation here, mathematical derivation, you can see. I don't know how you have answered. Hope you have done this mathematical derivation. If not, for future reference, you can see this derivation and you can answer the question accordingly. Two things should be very, very important when you answer some such questions. Either you go for mathematical proof or you try to bring in logical intuition which can clearly show that, okay, your answer is correct. The other question was that in both the cases we are making log transformation of the variables, but in one case we are changing scale of the variables before log transformation, and in another case we are not changing the scale of measurement of the variables. But in either case we are making log transformation of the variables. This question, again, I would like to have answer in mathematical derivation like the way we have done it here. I would like to see some derivation or some logical intuition form in tomorrow's class, along with some empirical exercise the way I showed you in case of dropping or adding intercept. You can very well see how the regression model is changing. First, what we are doing, we are making log transformation of the variables. So from arithmetic scale, we are converting it into logarithmic scale. Then in one case, we are changing the scale of measurement of the variables, in another case not. So how will the regression results change? Again, I will see today how I will just see some of the answer scripts, how you have answered to this question. But I would like to have some empirical work also in support of what you have done, along with some logical intuition or mathematical derivations. So I would like to get the answer from you all in tomorrow's class
Sir,
to
in this
have more comprehensive answer.
sir, in this question, can we think of it as like y plus c, like instead of like multiplicative, we can write it as additive and do it like that. Because like if we take ln, it will become additive, like kind of like.
You are right. You are right. But then how the regression results are finally changing.
Like that was done in earlier classes. So like instead of like using a and b, we can write it as c and d. Like.
Okay. So have you done mathematical derivation in the assignment?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then I would like to see from you in tomorrow's class. Okay. Let us see. And I will also have some. Or why don't you do this along with the mathematical derivation what you have done? Why don't you do this empirical work also parallel? Then we can put it side by side. The way I did it for intercept. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just try to do that. And then let me just quickly get back to the last question. Suppose you are interested to identify the factors that influence variations in inflows of industrial investment across Indian states. I have made this question open. Specify the regression model that can be estimated for this purpose. Now, this can be estimated as a bivariate regression model. This can also be estimated as a multiple regression model. And this is the point what we discussed extensively in the class on last Tuesday. It can be estimated as a bivariate regression model. It can also be estimated as a multiple regression model. So first one is basically to specify the regression model that can be estimated. Second question is basically how the variables can be measured and what are our hypotheses. When I say hypothesis, I basically talk about the probable impact of the independent variables on the dependent variable. And then next is basically how will you estimate, what are the different statistical tests you would like to carry out, etc. So there are 4 components of this question. One is specification of the regression model, along with little justification. Why are you specifying the regression model in this fashion? Second is how would you like to measure the independent variables and dependent variable, and how do you expect the independent variables to influence the dependent variable? What are basically the hypotheses? Then what steps can be followed to estimate the model and interpret the regression results? To a certain extent, the answer to the last question in particular is given in the flow diagram that I have added at the beginning of this handout. But other questions are quite open, and I would like to hear from you how you have answered this question. I'm not saying that, okay, this is the right answer or this is the wrong answer. How can we answer this question? Anyone? Would you like to estimate it as a bivariate model or a multiple regression model?
So we could try it with a multiple regression model because there could be a lot of variables that are influencing the industrial investment.
But can it be estimated as a bivariate model?
So like
yes,
we
sir,
can
it can.
variables as bivariates, and some variables which we feel will be correlated can be multiple variate.
So some variables may be clubbed into some index, and some variable may be added individually. Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So what may be the possible independent variables?
Ease of
Sir,
doing the index.
the tax rate in the country or the
No, we are talking
infrastructure or
about
transportation.
across Indian states. Remember, we are not talking about across countries. We are talking about across Indian states.
Sir, one of them could be the transportation and infrastructure of the state.
Yes, definitely infrastructure may be an important variable, right? Then,
So the effective tax rate,
sorry,
tax minus subsidies.
means basically we are talking about incentives.
Yes, sir.
That various state governments may provide to the potential investors.
Yes, sir.
Right.
The ease of doing business index for individual states.
Absolutely. Then
The
Like-
demand for those industrial goods.
Sir,
market.
wage
Basically,
rates
we are
for
talking
workers.
about market potential.
Yes, sir.
Right. Then
Sir, wage rate for workers.
like how much they follow like the natural goals and all because of like now turning environment of like towards nature.
okay.
Like, how nature friendly.
So all these, so you know, I mean, what may be the potential variables? Accordingly, you can hypothesize how they may influence the dependent variable. Right. Here, I would just like to tell you, in one of our works, long back, of course, we did that work probably in the year 2011. We tried to see what may be the different variables influencing inflows of investment across Indian states. There we tried to see in particular the role of infrastructure. Initially, we added the variables individually. Then we found severe multipolarity problem. Then what we did, we classified the variables into different groups and we formed certain indices. Like say, someone talked about infrastructure. Now, infrastructure is a broad concept. It may be physical infrastructure. It may also have some component of social infrastructure. So what we did, instead of clubbing the variables into one index, we tried to see it in terms of social infrastructure versus physical infrastructure. So like that, when you do some such empirical work, you can think of combining the variables that are largely or that may have largely similar impact, or those variables may be similar in nature. We could have added all the infrastructure related variables into one index. But we didn't do that because clubbing of variables, as I said in the earlier class, that too much clubbing of variables may also result in loss of information. So instead of clubbing all infrastructure related variables into one index, what we did, one index we formed in terms of social infrastructure, another in terms of physical infrastructure, something like that. So it is somewhere in between estimating a purely bivariate model and estimating a multiple regression model with inclusion of each of the infrastructure related components individually. We try to estimate the model by considering the variables somewhere in between these two extremes. So suppose I have 10 variables x1, x2 up to x10. One possibility is that I estimate a model y versus x1, x2, x3 up to x10. Another y versus combining x1, x2 up to x10 into a single index. We can estimate both the models, but in that work we try to see what can happen if we don't combine all the variables into single index, or if we don't add all the variables individually in the model, rather somewhere in between. So what we did, we classified the variables into two groups. One is related to, say, for example, social infrastructure like education, health, etc. Another into physical infrastructure like, say, road, railway network, etc. So neither we lost the information entirely, nor did we face severe multipolarity problem when we were adding the variables individually. As compared to that, in this case, the severity of multipolarity was less. At the same time, we could avoid loss of large-scale information. So that sort of approach can be thought of, where, as someone just pointed out, that some variables can be combined into some indices and some variables can be added individually. And when it comes to the question of, how to interpret the results, as we discussed, first we need to see if the model is significant by using F statistic. Then you look at the goodness of fit, that is adjusted R square. Then you go for the individual coefficients. And again, when it comes to the question of individual coefficients, we need to see three aspects. One is the impact, if it is statistically significant, means if there is any relationship between the independent variable and the dependent variable. We discussed, we'll basically see that in terms of T statistic of the corresponding coefficient. Second, we look at the nature of impact, whether it is inverse or direct. So if the coefficient is positive and if it is statistically significant, we will say that there is a direct impact of X on Y, or positive impact of X on Y. If X increases, Y will also go up, other factors remaining the same, or given other factors. If it is negative, again, there is an inverse relationship. So if X goes up, Y will go down and vice versa. And the third part may be, if we want to understand how the impact, extent of impact, how does it differ across the variables? In that case, we need to compare the coefficients. Now, in this connection, I have a question. Suppose a coefficient is positive, but it is not statistically significant. What will you say? Suppose for infrastructure, I have formed an index and I am getting the coefficient is positive, but it is not statistically significant. What will you say?
We will just replace the coefficient.
Coefficient is positive, but it is not statistically significant.
So can we not remove the coefficient like 0 because it is not like.
We cannot straightway just drop it like this. I'll show you. You have raised a very important point. Often we may look for doing this. Okay, this variable doesn't have a significant coefficient, then why not to drop that? But we should remember the moment we drop that, other regression results may be affected. So we cannot straightway drop a variable if its coefficient doesn't turn out to be statistically significant. I will show you both empirically as well as mathematically that the regression results would be affected if we drop a variable that doesn't have a statistically significant coefficient. But my question was a little different. My question is, if a coefficient is not statistically significant, but if it is positive, how will you interpret this? The coefficient is positive, but it is not statistically significant. What would be your interpretation?
That only some values depend on the coefficient, but it is like directly dependent. Those values are directly dependent.
Any other answer? Say coefficient of a variable x, it is not statistically significant, but it is positive.
The values of y will increase with x, but the relative increase will be very less.
What does it mean if a coefficient is not statistically significant?
Fail to reject the null hypothesis.
Right. That means what? What was your null hypothesis? Beta is equal to 0?
Yes, sir. Beta is
So
equal
you
to 0.
fail to reject this null hypothesis. What does it mean? That this coefficient that you have estimated is not statistically significantly different from 0. And if it is not different from 0, how does it matter whether it is positive or negative? So in a regression model, if a coefficient is not statistically significant, we will say that the corresponding variable doesn't have any statistically significant impact on the dependent variable. So if coefficient of x is not statistically significant, we will say that x doesn't have any statistically significant impact on y. This is how we interpret the regression results. And if it is not statistically significant, if it is not significantly different from 0, then obviously the sign doesn't matter. The sign will matter for those coefficients that are statistically significantly different from 0. Means those coefficients that are statistically significant, for which the null hypothesis is rejected. So while interpreting the regression results, we need to keep these aspects in mind. We interpret the regression results. I'm basically talking about this part. Estimation is okay. We'll follow OLS method and we'll estimate the coefficients. But at the same time, there are certain other aspects that we need to keep in mind. Simply estimation will not be enough. We need to see if there is any problem of severe multipolarity. We need to see if it is a cross-sectional data. We need to see if there is any problem of heteroscedasticity. If the assumption of normality is valid, if the assumption of linearity is valid. Once we confirm these assumptions, then we need to see the regression results in terms of testing of hypothesis. So we need to see the assumptions relating to normality, relating to linearity, relating to no severe multipolarity. I mean, if the model is having severe multipolarity, then we need to apply certain remedial measures. We need to see the validity of the assumption of homoscedasticity, means no heteroscedasticity, no autocorrelation. So we need to confirm these assumptions to be valid. And once this is done, we can go for interpretation of the regression results, looking at statistical significance of the overall model in terms of the F-stat, then goodness of fit in terms of adjusted R-square value, and then interpretation of the regression results from three angles: presence of the relationship in terms of statistical significance of the coefficients, then nature of the relationship in terms of sign of the coefficients, and then the extent of impact in terms of magnitude. But what somebody pointed out, I think it was Vaibhav, it was a very, very important question. Suppose the coefficient of a variable is not statistically significant, whether we should drop that variable. That's a very important question, and we need to discuss on that question. So tomorrow's class, I will basically plan for having in tomorrow's class discussion on some part of this assignment, then some other aspects in terms of impact of scale of the variables, how will they affect the regression coefficients, the standard errors. These two parts we discussed, but we didn't discuss the impact on the test statistics like T and F. So that part we'll discuss, and then I'll basically focus on multiple regression model. So there will be three components in tomorrow's class. One component is discussion on some part of the assignment. Second is some additional aspects of bivariate regression model, and then we'll start discussion on multiple regression models. Okay, so I'll stop here, Krishna.
Sir, I had a question.
Yes.
So in this last question in the assignment,
Uh-huh.
what